7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to welcome on into the program State Rep Scott Cepicky, who joins us on the Newsmaker Hotline. And Scott, always appreciate having you on. I want to get to this audio of Justin Jones first, not to ruin everybody's breakfast, but I've got to ask, when he basically accused everyone in the State House of being white supremacists, what is the reaction from people in the room? First of all, Ken, can you play that audio for us?
It'll be no wonder when the next neo-Nazi march will come. Some may argue that this is a neo-Nazi rally happening every time we convene in this body. But what we have to call attention to,
There's objection.
Mr. Speaker, I object to the vile things that were coming out of the representative's mouth. He literally disparaged the entire body, and the entire body, both parties.
Now, I've got to ask, I mean, I mentioned this in the 6 o'clock hour, if somebody, was walking around the hallways of Cumulus Broadcasting calling everybody white supremacists, that person would be hauled off and perhaps fired. Is there going to be any kind of a ramification or a consequence to Justin Jones spouting off those very hateful talking points?
Well, Dan, we've already taken 2 votes on the House floor to now limit the amount of time he gets to speak because he's violated the rules again. If he does get called out of order again, then he will lose his speaking privileges on the House floor for 2 sessions. And so we're very serious about this. But here's the problem, Dan. This is a troubled young man that views the world through racism in his own eyes. If you're white, you're a racist. He never takes the time to even get to know people on the other side of the aisle. He just spouts this racist rhetoric all the time. And I think it's because, enable for him to be a celebrity, he has to keep throwing these bombastic accusations. And so it's a shame that it's happened. His district has 0 representation because it's all about Mr. Jones. And it's a shame that they sent him back up because they could have sent someone instead that would have represented the values of his constituency better.
Can I just ask Scott Cepicky joining us, has he done anything of substance in his time in the State House?
Just called the members of the General Assembly white supremacists and neo-Nazis.
Okay. Well, for him, I'm sure he sees that as substantive, but the rest of us kind of roll our eyes. Well, you have passed this this bill to block expelled lawmakers from returning. If he continues down this path, do you see him possibly getting expelled again?
Well, that's an option we always have. I mean, if you're going to continue to accuse members of the General Assembly to be racist and white supremacists, eventually the members are going to call him to order on that. And if he continues, there are going to be consequences for his actions, because there has to be, right? There has to be consequences to everyone's actions. Let me tell you something. If the shoe was on the other foot, and we, as a member of a different party, were saying some vile things back against the Democrat Party, trust me, there'll be consequences to us too.
710 Super Talk 99.7. State Rep Scott Cepicky joining us, chair of the Education Information Instruction Subcommittee as well. So the House, you folks have filed your amendment for your version of the governor's school choice program. Your version was 39 pages long. The governor, his version was, I think, 7 pages long, and in the Senate, 17 pages long. People are describing, I don't know if you would describe it as this, but sort of like an omnibus bill. I mean, where there's just a lot of stuff packed in, where it seems like, and I went through this in the previous hour, you're trying to change the face of education in Tennessee, not just focused on the vouchers.
That's correct. I mean, I've been up there for 6 years, and we've been listening to our districts about things that are hindering their ability to educate our students in our public schools. Dan, we have over 1 million children in our public school system in Tennessee. We have roughly about 100,000 that are in private schools. So public school is going nowhere. And the only way to make education successful in Tennessee is to do the things necessary to make public education the best in the country. And the things that we're doing in this omnibus bill or this education freedom bill we are addressing those things that our locals have told us are the keys to transforming education in Tennessee. And we're going to go after them, and we are going to do our best to hold the line and get those things that are going to make our public schools things that we can be absolutely proud of in Tennessee.
Is there a worry by throwing so much into this legislation? And again, I went through it and I like a lot of the stuff that's in here, but are you running the risk of torpedoing the whole thing because there's so much in there? Clearly, with the Senate, their version only 17 pages long, the governor's only 7 pages long. Is there too much in here that could cause everyone to lose focus of the main idea, which was basically vouchers for everyone under the governor's plan?
Well, the idea of the governor's plan was an idea to bring school choice to Tennessee. And I think most members in theory agree with that. But why would we waste an opportunity that we have before us to transform public education in a way that allows public education to function more like our private schools with freedom and autonomy in the classroom, to allow our public school teachers to become those teachers that they went to school and those teachers that they want to be? And we all agree this is about educating our students to future generations of Tennessee, Dan. It is imperative that we move this bill forward because I just believe in my heart, Dan, that in a couple years this transformation is going to take place and Tennessee is going to skyrocket to the top in education.
So one of the things that your bill does in the House is it does eliminate many TCAP testing requirements for public school students. The Senate, they want more testing than you do. I know that Cameron Sexton said earlier, I played some audio earlier of him saying you really want the focus to be on instruction and instructing the students and less on, basically teaching for the test. Is there going to be a common ground that you're going to be able to come to with the state Senate, because they want more testing, I believe, than you do?
Dan, we hope so, because we believe less testing will yield better results, because right now we're testing about every 11 days in our public schools, and all we're doing is confirming that the students we have don't know the information that they're trying to be presented. More time, more instruction will allow better tests.
What about accountability? So if there's no testing, then, and we implement this whole thing, well then, how do you know that this is working? Is it just the test scores from, every Friday you take a test or a quiz? I know that also baked into this legislation is where you will be checking in yearly with the teachers and the really the students and the parents to make sure that everyone is happy with how it's all being implemented. Is that enough?
Are you talking about the school choice side, Dan?
Yes.
Yes. We believe that just giving us the test scores of those kids that use the scholarship to go to these private schools, reporting those test scores to a third party that relays them back to the Department of Education provides enough separation between big government and the private schools that we'll be able to get the information to prove that the system's working.
And unfortunately, Scott, I think we're going to have to leave it there because your cell phone just lost the signal there, but I very much appreciate you joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, which is too bad, but I see where he's going with that. And I do agree that there is just way too much testing for the kids these days. The question is, how do you know if this thing is going to work when it comes to school choice? And ultimately, in the next couple of years, every single student in the state of Tennessee will be able to utilize $7,000, these vouchers, to go to whatever school that they want to go to, which is, for me, I am all for that. As a conservative, I am all for school choice. The question is, how do you know that everything is working? How do you prove? Here's the way that I would frame it, actually. Scott, if you're still listening, here's how I would frame it. You've got the Democrats, and they're out there saying, well, they're trying to defund, the public schools. So to me, you need to be able to figure out a way to prove that this school choice has worked here in the state of Tennessee by making the kids smarter, making sure that they have good teachers, making sure that they have everything that they need in order to succeed. If you're able to do that, then you're able to tell the other side to shut up. And as Scott Cepicky said, again, as chair of the Education Instruction Subcommittee, I would also say that we could become a model for the rest of the country. And unfortunately, my interview with Scott was cut short because I had a bunch of questions for him. But, you look at what went wrong in the state of Arizona. So how do we make sure that we don't repeat the problems that Arizona had? One of the issues in Arizona is they don't have a lot of testing, but also the money that the parents were getting. Some parents were utilizing that money, let's just say, for things other than education, like, jet skis and, those kinds of things. So there's some pitfalls and some things that we can learn from other states because of the mistakes that they made. But ultimately, my question is going to be with the governor. His version of the vouchers, if you will, was 7 pages long. The Senate, 17 pages. House version, 39 pages long. The House, I believe, is probably somebody's going to have to compromise here, whether it's going to be Jack Johnson, whether it's going to be the state Senate, or if it's going to be the Republicans in the House of Representatives, or whether it's going to be Governor Lee. They've got to take this opportunity to do it and to do it right. At least to me, it sounds like they're on the right track.